All right, graphing absolute values. Nikki, tell me, what does an absolute value do? I wanted you to talk into my mic. Yeah, but it wasn't going to record it. So what is? It's always going to make the value positive, right? No matter what we put in for it, it's always going to come out positive. All right? So, if we're going to graph something that's absolute value, I want you to notice what it's going to do. I want you to notice what's going to end up happening. It's going to be always in a V-type shape. Now, this V could move. It could be at different spots. Okay, I'll show you. Let's graph. In fact, have I showed you the Desmos calculator? Desmos I love the Desmos calculator.
Can I learn matrix, please?
And let's see. Classes, pre-calc, Desmos calculator. I love this because it's so easy to use. And it's loading and it's so slow. All right. Functions. Function. What's your function? I think we do it this way. And we put an X in there. All right. Absolute value.
Oh, that's how you broke the pen in the first place. Yeah, I think you broke it. Yeah. We witnessed it. Run it over.
All right. All right. So my absolute value, notice what happens. I just took the absolute value of X. All right. So no matter what happens, my Y value will always be positive. Let's use red here. If I put in, and this is what it is, Y equals absolute value of X. Okay. So if I put in a 1, or let's say a 2, for my X, my Y is going to be 2, right? If I put a negative 2 in for my X, my Y will be 2. So no matter what happens, my results will always be positive. That's why it starts making this V shape. Do you know what function makes a parabola? Makes it look like this? Yeah, I know.
That's the way teachers should grade. We still learn stuff.
All right. Yep. Well, come on. There we go. If I do X squared, if I use a square value in there, it makes a parabola. Okay? The difference is when I use a absolute value. Oh, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. Nah. If I do, oh, it really did. Oh, I'm having a problem here. Okay, I want this one here, and I want this and this. Okay, notice the difference in these two. What colors can I make this? I'm going to take it off and put it on. All right, so notice they kind of work the same. They get symmetric, don't they? Okay, well, it is. It's symmetric. What happens on this side is just a reflection of what happens on this side. All right, but let's take a look at the absolute value. Now, absolute value, how can we adjust this? Well, let's say we added 1 to it. What would happen? It adds 1 to the Y value, doesn't it? Let me see if I can put out in front here Y equals. Okay? Y equals. So if I add 1 to this, it just makes the Y go up 1. What if I put a, what, say that, what? 8? instead of a 1? It just makes it go up higher. Okay? Now, what happens instead of putting it outside of the absolute value, what if I put it on the inside? What do you think will happen? What's it going to do? No. If we put it outside of the absolute value, it makes it go up and down, right? What do you think it'll do inside? Left and right. Yeah, it moved it left. It moves it left and right. Oh no, it slides it. We either go up and down with it or we slide left and right. Now, here's the difference. When we put it outside of the absolute value, it moved it up, didn't it? It stayed with a positive. It moved up the y-axis. But what does it do inside? It moves it opposite. So we put a +2 in here, and it actually moved it back 2. Yes. Yes. No. Okay. So what happens here? Okay, you get a little understanding of how we can move the absolute values around, okay? That's what I want to do. That's how it works. Everything stays, whatever comes out of this absolute value is positive unless we have this negative out in front of it. All right. So you got a little bit of a look at.
Greg John.
You know, Fletcher,
Finally calling your middle name, buddy.
like I care. What'd you do? He's been creeping? All right. You can go on Google and you can put my name in. I am the only Craig Garvalia in the United States as a... Yeah. Okay, so how can I represent each transition? Guys, come on. How can I represent each transition of y equals the absolute value of x graphically? Okay, and what did they do? Exactly what I did here. We shifted it down 2 units. In other words, we subtracted outside of the absolute value. So it took this graph, which was positive or sitting at 0, and it moved it down. Here's the origin right here. It moved it down 2 units. In this one here, what happened? We put the plus inside of the absolute value, and it moved it over a unit, but it moved it opposite of what the sign is in here. It's a +1, and it moved it to the negative side. That's what happens when it's inside of the absolute value. Okay? So how can we represent this graphically? What do you got? What? This was in Florida. That one was just this year.
Oh, must have been an old one.
Yeah, those kids are young. All right.
I see it goes in the background with me. Oh, yeah, right there.
Okay. What else do you have in there? Oh, it's Matthew. You know, I don't care.
Oh, I have something when you touch my name.
Go figure.
Justin has a nice one.
Okay. Like I care. I'm not salty. Not crazy. You're poking me with a pen. You're poking holes in my shirt. You know, like I care. Yes. One right there, and where?
A little lower. No, right there.
Well, same spot over right there? Good, cool. I got 2 holes in my shirt. All right. Oh my gosh. They're having fun, aren't they? What's that? All right. You can find a picture of me with a deer I shot late season one year. That morning I hunted. That morning I hunted. It was minus 12 degrees, and I went out in the afternoon. It was December 13th, and I went out in the afternoon and shot. It was 23 degrees out then. What's that? With my bow, yeah. Really cool picture. I'm in my snow camo. With just a lot of snow. All right, put that away. All right. I think you guys can do this. No, I think you guys can do this. Describe the transformations.
Can we do them together on the board?
You guys can do them. No, you're poking fun at my holes in my shirts. You're poking me.
I didn't poke you.
You guys are saying, "Oh, you're crabby."
Yeah, the only I did the poke fun on Facebook.
I'm crabby? I don't care. That isn't being crabby. It just means I don't care. Huh? Okay. All right. So you guys have 10 problems to do. Graph these on the same coordinate plane. Yeah, but there's a first page too. Describe the transformation. What happens between these two? In other words, when they say describe the transformations here, guys, what happens when I multiply this by -5? All right, I've got x and x, but I take my f of x and I'm multiplying it by -5. What happens when I multiply it by -5? What does it do to my graph? That's what they want to know. All right, and here, when I actually divide it by 4 and add 3 to it, what happens between that x and between f of x and g of x? What's changing when I do that? So graph it, take a look at it, and describe it. It really doesn't take long. What you need to do is this. Make your T-chart, right? X, Y. What do you put in? 0, 1, and -1. And then figure out what your Y is. All right? That's real quick for you to figure out for these to be able to tell exactly what starts happening. If I do this one here for f of x, if I put in 1 for my x, what's my y going to be? 1. Or my f of x. This would also be f of x right here. All right? It's going to be 1, so it's going to be like this. 2 is going to be 2. So I'm actually going and making like a 45-degree angle through it, right? Now I take 1/4 x. If I put in 1 or 0 for this, for my x, what's my y going to be? 3. 1, 2, 3. If I put 0 in for my x, what is my g of x going to be? This can be g of x also. All right, that's my y, right? If I put 0 in for x, what's this value going to be? 3, right? Because this is 0 plus 3. Now I put in 1 for this. I go 1/4 plus 3 1/4. So I go 1. I'm only going up like 1/4. If I put -1 in here, I'm going like down 1/4. So what? This is my graph here. What is it doing? What's the transformation? It's tilting it down a little bit. It's changing where the line is on the graph. Instead of intersecting at 0, it's intersecting at 0, 3. That's what you have to do. Describe this transformation when you do it. What's the difference between the two graphs? And here I want you to graph these two. Show me the graph of them, okay? All right. Go to town.